ahead and take a look at some of the papers we've got for you this morning. Nigerian Tribune is about politics today. Adeleke, Oyo PDP knock Ganduje over APC's plot to take over Oyo, Osun. Ganduje suffering from verbal diarrhea, Osun government. Nobody prays for APC's pain beyond 2027, Oyo PDP. So this is coming off the back of the statement he made after the just concluded Ondo governorship election. So that may continue for a while, and who knows for how long. But take a look at Vanguard newspaper next. LCCI, Asbon, analysts, others, big holes in 2025 budget. And then you can see the right here. It will take magic wand to succeed, ascribed to Asbon. Funding will be a challenge. That's for financial experts right there, speaking up on that particular matter. Leadership newspaper here this morning is about the tax bills. Lawmakers, their governors queue behind Tinubu, and some of their riders on the front pages here. Reform will diversify revenue base, ensure equity, ascribed to Speaker. Some governors threatening us with 2027 tickets. Agbese. Northern lawmakers will be guided by national interest, ascribed to Dogowa. So it will be a battle awaits in the National Assembly, and who knows how that will eventually play out. And then Daily Trust also focuses on that. It says Northern reps raise fresh concerns over tax reform bills. Say region plagued by insecurity, low productivity. Have a look at this one. It's unfair for Lagos, Rivers, FCT to have 70% VAT proceeds, ascribed to FIRS boss, who would have thought, will be guided by national interest, ascribed to Dogowa. So have a read on this, take a look at it and see, put it in context, as we always say. The Guardian newspaper, 18 million out of school children, 34 states ditch UBE grants, as unused funds surpass 135 billion naira, the paper reports here today. Then on the front page as well, FIRS boss makes case for tax bills as FG calms governors on reforms. So reconcile that probably with the previous paper, the comment ascribed to him earlier on. Okay, so we've got a slew of papers focusing on this back and forth between the presidency and the former president. And so here we go. So Daily Independent, presidency replies Obasanjo says he lacks leadership qualities. Presided over Nigeria's most fraudulent election. Nigerian News Direct. Look at the theme, Baba go slow. You spent $16 billion generating megawatts of darkness. Presidency hits back at Obasanjo, says Obasanjo's legacy of corruption, mismanagement, stifled Nigeria's growth. Former President Obasanjo's leadership failed to fix deplorable federal roads, ascribed to Onanuga. And then blueprints, presidency to Obasanjo, you ran Nigeria with impunity, not ideal leader to emulate. And then you also see the right here, Ohaneze, Arewa Group, others tackle ex-president. This Nigeria, you left Nigeria worse off in terms of corruption, economic woes, others. Tinubu fires back at Obasanjo over comments that his administration is rudderless, says ex-president reeks of profound hypocrisy, presided over electoral heist, the paper reports here today. And then Business Day, Nigeria's oil outputs underwhelms ambitious 2025 budget. So there are some of the front pages this morning.
Well, a lot really stand out on the front pages of the papers this morning. You certainly cannot miss that back and forth between the presidency and former President Olusegun Obasanjo. You know, that's right. He spares no punches. Anytime he wants to go for the kill, he takes no prisoners. That's basically what the former president does. But certainly, the handlers of the president are not taking it lying low. They have been responding, and you can see that the papers wash with that. I guess we'll be asking our guest much later what he makes of that back and forth. There's almost no president whom the former president hasn't spoken to. either by way of speaking or by way of his famous letters. So who knows? Will we see one of those before this administration is over? We never can tell, but we certainly have begun to hear his words. And I think it's memorandum has spoken in Faraway America. But that's not what I want to highlight. What I want to highlight is the fact that, to be honest, I actually have 2 stories I want to highlight. I don't know if Chamberlain is going to be highlighting. Is that the one you're going to be highlighting?
The out-of-school children?
Yep.
Oh, that's serious. 18 million of them?
It is very
million?
serious.
That's more than some countries.
It is very serious. And I'm wondering who is taking note. And when you take a look at the front page of The Guardian and you see that 34 states are ditching universal basic education funds. The grants. They're basically all theirs to get as long as they're able to match with counterpart funding. Before now, we know that states used to play smart about this. You know, a number of them will get loans from the banks as their counterpart funding, and you know, show UBEC authorities that they actually do have this funds, and then UBEC will give them the grants after a long process. And as soon as UBEC gives them the grants, they promptly return the money of the banks to them.
And pocket the grants?
No, and then they use the grant for whatever it was that they wanted to use. But the idea is to actually encourage states, you know, to say, look, federal government is willing to match you, whatever it is that you want to give to education, particularly universal basic education, primary education, what is the right of every single Nigerian. You know, there are federal funds willing to meet you halfway. So far, so good. What we're reading, if we're to go with the headlines, and I really don't want to run away with it, we're understanding that 34 states haven't, you know, made an attempt to access these grants. There are big questions as to why. Is it that the states feel that they don't need it? Is it that they're not aware the funds are there? Or is it that they're self-sufficient? Because here we are trying to give local government autonomy. And part of the reason why a lot of states have been claiming that they have been, this joint account was absolutely necessary was because they were paying teacher salaries and local governments cannot cope. Now, if there are funds to help match that and to help ease the burden, why aren't the states, you know, getting access or making attempts to get access to these funds? This is a very important story.
There's a bit of breakdown.
The Guardian newspapers.
Let's just add this to it
on the front page.
It went on to say 7 northern states failed to access 9.65 billion, Southwest 9.4 billion, Southeast 12.9 billion. Only Katsina, Kaduna accessed Q1, Q2 2024 matching grants. And then it says those yet to retrieve from 2021, 22, 23 grants are Abia, that's 4.28 billion, Imo, 3.54 billion, Ogun, 4.26 billion. And you would have thought maybe all of them have challenges, there must be something fundamentally wrong. But how is it that Katsina and Kaduna accessed the Q1, Q2 2024 matching grant? What's going on?
Big questions to ask of the states, and it's a good thing that the Guardian has, you know, dedicated resources, because when you see this sort of story, they don't come cheap. It means that they have dedicated resources to be able to do the breakdown and hold the feet of leaders to account. I think that the governors of the states, these 34 states which have not yet accessed the grant, really need to be speaking up. Is it that you have enough? Is it that you don't need UBEC funds? Or what exactly is it? What exactly has, you know, made you, you know, unable or discouraged, or, you know, just left the funds lying there? Because this is actually meant for Nigerian children. We have the highest number of out-of-school children on the continent of Africa. We're competing with another part of the world where there are wars happening, and that certainly is not good. I remember it was President Obasanjo, I remember, who in his contribution to a particular conversation we're having some time ago, you know, was saying that when you deprive children of an education, you deprive them of the ability to be able to contribute meaningfully as citizens of Nigeria, as citizens of a country. And that has really stuck with me. The only reason why we're able to be here having this conversation is because we have an education. And the reason why a number of people are able to write and communicate to us or communicate with us is because they also have an education. How many more people have we excluded because of how in shambles our education system is. It is really a shame. Reported what has been reported on the front page of the Guardian newspapers this morning. I'm hoping that somebody takes note and sees how they can remove their state from among the 34 that we're currently witnessing on the front page.
Well, yes, indeed, well said. And some controversy going on about this tax bill. Lawmakers are saying, look, we're going to stick with the president and go on with it. And he said, look, if you've got any misgivings, concerns whatsoever, go to the floor of the House and not ask that it be withdrawn wholly or holistically. So quite interesting, some politics there, because look at it, some of those states or lawmakers who say we're going to stick with him, it turns out that they have challenges with their governors. They seem to have fallen out with some of them. So but I don't know the percentage, if that's going to be sufficient to pull through at the end of the day, if the president will get what he wants, or will the governors get it this time. And so whichever with the pendulum swings, I tell you, it will be some precedent. So if you get to the NAS, who holds sway there? I guess we will see.
Big question was yesterday the tax reform public hearing commenced, and the speaker, no less than the speaker, was there to, the deputy speaker and deputy speaker were both there, but the speaker actually had to say that, you know, the House of Reps hasn't taken sides on this. We saw how all of the opening speeches were nice and warm. People, of course, had their... It's going to be a very interesting conversation, Chairman, that I can assure you, because at some point during the conversation, I don't know what was asked, but I suddenly saw almost all the members on the floor in that public hearing room having their hands up. I imagine there are questions that they had to ask of the tax committee, because they had a presentation there at that public hearing. I guess it's something that we certainly will have to keep tabs on, because you also see on the front page here, Northern Reps raise fresh concerns over tax reform bill. So we'll see how that eventually pans out, whether this is able to sail through on the floor of the National
Let
Assembly.
ideas contend.
Indeed.
And this time I hope they will read the bill.
Yes, idea is not sentiment.
All right, we're back in a moment. Stay on with us.